Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Jenna Labor, and I will be your host as we explore the dynamic world of Don Keenan's trial philosophy, The Cutting Edge. Welcome to this afternoon's episode of Fridays with Keenan's Cutting Edge. As always, episodes are released each week, so click the subscribe button and the alerts icon so that you don't miss an episode. You'll definitely want to share this one with your friends, family, coworkers, anybody else who has an interest in something that's not super niche lawyer-like, right? Today, we're going to be talking about plants. We have Tricia Keffer with us, and she's going to talk about how we can enrich our lives through plants. As lawyers, we have a very stressful, very fast-paced, a lot of times a very toxic lifestyle. And we've really enjoyed bringing on a few different guests who've had ideas about relaxation, self-care, and that sort of thing. So along those lines, Tricia's going to talk to us a little bit about how plants might factor into a positive environment for us. Now, Papa Don made a special request for us to have Tricia on the podcast because he has been working with her to transform his space to help with happiness, holistic healing, and whatnot. And so I'm very excited to hear from her about her tips on that. I'll let Tricia introduce herself, but by way of a little bit of background, she owns Summertime Landscape Design in Florida, and she largely services the North Florida area. As many of us might know, and some might not, different plants thrive in different areas. And so it would be difficult to encompass, a huge, large area across the country. But when I talked to Tricia before inviting her onto the podcast, she even gave me tips for resources that I have in my neck of the woods in the complete opposite part of the country. So she's a wealth of knowledge, and she will give us so much information this afternoon. As always, we'll put her website and email address in the description below so you can check out her work and contact her with any questions. So Tricia, I'm going to turn it over to you. Tell us about how we can enrich our lives through plants.
Hello, and thank you for asking me to be here today. This has been a real honor and a pleasure to be asked to come here and talk to you all about improving your home environment and your office environment. And I've been watching some of the videos on this channel, and especially from the gentleman who discussed yoga and breathing techniques. And what I'm hearing is that this group is y'all at the top of your game. I mean, you've got the knowledge, you're the cutting edge, you're already a top athlete, like you said. So, but even top athletes need to know how to take care of themselves, and so they can get just that little bit ahead and help them to maybe think more clearly and perform at their top of the game. Especially, I'm hearing when you all go to trial, it's performance. And to me, also what I'm hearing is y'all are creatives. You're creatives, you're writing, you're doing performance. And so you've really got to take care of yourselves too, personally and professionally. So today I'd like to talk to you all about my love of plants and the benefits of having them in your home and in your office. So first of all, let's all take a deep collective breath. Everybody put away those notepads. This is not a test. Okay, no notepads. Nothing like that. I'll send a PDF with some information at the end. So just sit back and just relax and listen and enjoy. Now, I always like to have like a little cup of tea. So I don't know what y'all are sipping this afternoon. If you want to put it in the chat, I've got elderberry with honey today, or maybe you have some water. I don't know. So I'll take a little sip. Cheers. Okay. So let's get started. My background, actually, I'm kind of almost a humanities type major. My first job was a dolphin trainer, and I did dolphin shows and training, and you never know how that's going to go. And surprisingly, all dolphin trainers major in psychology. That's how I got into being a psychology major, because otherwise I didn't particularly have an interest per se. But my specialization was learning, teaching, management, which has been very invaluable for me in my own business and in my own personal life, et cetera. So B.F. Skinner, he's my guy. After I graduated from college, though, I decided that in this area, I also wanted to have my own business. and I was pretty good at photography. So if you're familiar with the Gulf Coast or anywhere in the Southeast, you've probably seen the beach portraits and weddings.
Mhm.
That was me. So I did that for about 20 years. So I'm always out in the environment. I'm in art, I'm in the environment, et cetera. And then, things change, economy changed, things happened. And I decided to look for another career. And I went back to school. I got my graduate degree in landscape architecture from FIU in Miami. And my professor, Juan Bueno, was very generous with his time. I got to do directed studies, and I did plants, ecology, restorations, et cetera. And then I continued my education with a horticulture certificate from Florida in the FNGLA. So that's a little bit about me, life, art, the whole kind of thing. It's why I'm, kind of like a humanities major, I think. So today, what I'd like to talk to all of you about is what are the benefits of plants from a biology and a psychology point of view, how to choose maybe some plants for your office, how to get started, and then a little bit about how to take care of them, because maintenance is always an issue. How do I do this? What do I do? So this today is a starting point and a framework. And I'll send a PDF to Jenna so she can forward it to those of you that are interested. And like she mentioned at the beginning, every state has what's called an extension service. In Florida, we are really the agriculture state. We have from University of Florida, it's the extension service, and every county has a horticulture degreed specialist on staff, pretty much. So you can go to master gardeners, you can go to clinics, and there's lots and lots of information online too. And pretty much what I have found, most every state has this type of service. So you can go there and have somebody come out and do a consult in your state too. They love to. So first question, what are the benefits of plants for human biology and psychology? Well, it turns out NASA was very much interested in this too. NASA is, of course, wanting to, they need some oxygen in those little capsules, and because how are they going to breathe out there? And then at the same time, what was happening in the 70s in our culture was the gas shortage. And we were becoming more energy efficient, and our homes almost became more encapsulated because we were trying to make things energy efficient. However, the side effect is that we're now enclosed and we're not getting as much oxygen exchange. We're not getting light. So NASA's like, okay, well, this is a great study. And they did an extensive study. It's online. If you go to Google Scholar, you can Google it and you can read the whole thing. Very well done study. I have an experimental design background, so really well done. They did it in association with the Landscape Contractors of America. And they wanted to know they narrowed it down to 3 different types of issues, common chemicals found in everything that seems to be now too much in our home enclosed environment. And how can they help us with this? So the first one was, if I'm pronouncing this correctly, I believe it's benzene. It can be found in oils, plastics, rubber, pharmaceuticals, dyes, etc. The other one is TCE, and I had to look back and how to make sure I'm pronouncing this, trichloroethane. And this is a very common one too. It's over in 90% of most of a lot of products of dry cleaning, inks, dyes, lacquers, adhesives. If you really, the National Cancer Institutes, they took it a little to the extreme. If they did a mice experiment, and it can be also maybe carcinogenic too. And the next one, which is very common, is formaldehyde. Formaldehyde is in all of our consumer products, all of our papers, our paints and my carpets and repellents and stiffeners, and it makes your clothes not wrinkle and, the whole thing. And most of our clothes we buy in a store have probably been at some point packed in formaldehyde during shipping. Yeah.
It just makes me think of morgues. I don't know. Sorry, everyone. I'm like, isn't that like a dead body thing? I don't know. Who knew?
Yes, it is. And it's everywhere around us too. Wow. So it's like, oh. And so I thought, well, I got kind of curious because I'm a curious person. And how do they make oxygen in the space station anyway? I hadn't really thought about it. So I looked it up. And of course, NASA's really nice with their research. So they told us. And a layperson's understanding is they have water and they put electrical current through it. So if y'all remember a little chemistry, it breaks apart your hydrogen, your oxygen, those two atoms. So you got now 2 hydrogen, 2 oxygen. The oxygen goes to the astronauts, hydrogen and methane and other off gases go out into space. Now that might be a little old, but basically that's kind of how they do it. And it ends up, that's exactly what plants do for us. Plants can take in all of these. I got a little plant here today. I got a little lemon balm. It's cute. There we go.
Cute.
And what plants do for us is exactly the same thing. They take in gases, etc., and they're starting to like mechanically break it down, and it goes into the soil, it goes into the roots. And what they release then from that, after they've made sugars and light, they take all these things, their photosynthesis, and they give us oxygen. So basically, we're like little astronauts in our houses, and we are taking in all these things, and we're putting out oxygen. What's great about oxygen? Well, we all remember the movie Apollo 11, I believe. I think so. The astronauts
Apollo 13. Was that one with Tom Hanks?
Yeah, that one. Ron Howard.
That one.
Yeah, dramatic. They're going to save the astronauts.
Yeah.
And what was the problem? The big problem was coming back to Earth after they had their explosion was that carbon dioxide.
Yeah.
And the engineers in their famous scene had to take a whole bunch of stuff and basically like make a plant. They had to get all that carbon out of the air and get oxygen back to the astronauts so they could think. Okay, well, what is this telling us? Plants can put up oxygen and we can think better. They're taking carbon dioxide out of our enclosed little environments here. We don't even realize it, how much we're breathing in. So you can think clearer, so you can rest better, so you can keep your blood pressure down. How does that benefit creatives like us, lawyers and everybody? You can think better on your feet. You're more rested. You can think more clearly. So that's one of the nice benefits of putting plants not only in your workspace, but also in your home space. So psychology, they've gotten into this recently and been kind of nice. They have a new journal out called Experimental, what is it? Oh, it's like, what is it called? Landscape Experimental Design, or a Journal of Landscape Environmental Design. So they've been taking experiments, the same principles that we all learned in school, out into the environment. And they've been doing some studies about connecting us back with our environment. For example, they did one they took some people out and they walked them through 3 different types of treatments: the urban environment, a park, and out in the woods. And they did repeat this experiment, and they found significance that it lowers your blood pressure and makes you feel better. If you feel better, you're just going to work better. I mean, that's the bottom line. So they also paired that with some of the medical physiology and self-reporting, of course, with surveys at the end. And that's what they found, that people walked in the woods versus being just an urban environment. The park is a halfway. It helps.
It's an option for those of us who live in urban areas and maybe don't have the opportunity to get out to the full woods.
But get out to the full woods on the weekend. There you go. Yeah. So it also brings down your blood pressure. It makes you feel better, less stress. Stress is pretty much, I don't know, the poison to thinking well. We're all, if you're stressed, you get into that, what psychology is called fight flight mode.
Yes. Yeah.
And I'm sure if you're in a courtroom and something, goes unexpected, like during a dolphin show, same thing. People have no idea.
And they're always, but I mean, if you're comparing it, if you're saying that dolphin shows have the same elements or similar as a courtroom, I mean, the most ridiculous stuff happens and you can't even predict it. And so you're standing there, and if you're stuck in fight, flight, or freeze mode, and you don't have a clear thinking, or you're tired, or you're bogged down, or you're got all this formaldehyde in your brain. I mean, that's all we have, is being able to think quickly. That's all we have.
Yes. And you'd be surprised next time you go to a show how quickly I'm thinking down there on the platform.
Interesting.
You have no idea. I
No,
know.
I had no idea. That's fantastic and fascinating.
So I'm talking to the audience, I'm throwing fish, I'm trying to make it entertaining, and I'm hoping that the dolphin's going to catch that football. Please, Delilah, catch the football.
Yeah, and when we're like exact same. So we got a witness on the stand, and a witness gives an answer that we didn't expect, and we got to keep the smile on, and we got to keep the, all right, well, then what happened? Meanwhile, or when defense gets up and they're questioning a witness, and you're sitting at counsel table, and they do something that's just, you can't react with an angry face. It's a lot. I never knew that dolphin training was so similar to what we do as lawyers. But yeah, it's all performance, right? At the end of it, it's not performance in a fake lying way. It's just, being able to project confidence, and feeling confident will go a long way in helping with that.
Yes. So if you've had a bad day at the office, or you go, I don't know how you all do your schedule. Let's say you have a bad morning, you're going to trial, and you're stressed, and you get to that moment. I mean, I don't know how, obviously dolphin show is not make or break, but for you guys it is. And how important that can be to lower your blood pressure, maybe even take a walk in the park before you go to trial. Find a green space before you go in there to perform. And I play flute, and I've done performances. We had an amazing band here at Niceville High School, plug for us. We did bull parades, we did Carnegie Hall, we did the whole thing, and they trained us to just keep going.
Yep. Interestingly, I played flute as well. I was a music minor in college, and so I played all over the world. But yeah, going back to those breathing, and you can't stop. Oh, I'm going to start over. Sorry, guys. Can we start over? If you're in an orchestra or a symphony, especially, but even if you're doing a solo performance, you can't be like, let's do that over again. You got to keep going.
You got to keep going. And so as you guys in trial, you got to keep going. What's the next step? And all that great training for dolphin training, music training, I'm sure that really helps when you're going to go out there when it really counts. What your next statement could make or break what that jury is going to decide. No pressure or anything, but what are they thinking of you? Okay, I'll diverge just a second. I have been on a jury. I got picked one time, and
cool.
I did. I'm watching. I'm watching how this guy's doing. I'm watching how this, and as a photographer, I'm very acute to what you're doing. And I'm watching little behaviors, because that's what I'm trained to do. I got to get you to smile when I do a portrait session, so yes, let me tell you, the jury person there, we're watching. And some of us have, different levels of kind of education, different points of view. So maybe a suggestion I hadn't thought about, if you can find a green space at your courthouse or where you go, take a few minutes. You've got 5 minutes. Everybody's got 5 minutes. Sit, clear your mind, breathe in some oxygen, get yourself centered, and recharge those brain cells. And before you get ready to go to do your meetings and et cetera, could be very, very important. So now we know why it's important. So, okay, Trish, that's great. I don't know anything about plants.
Or I kill all the plants that come across my desk.
That's okay. We've all put a few plants down every once in a while, It happens. You just put them in a compost and recycle them,
Yeah, that's right. They can give new life to other plants in your second try.
Yeah, don't feel bad. It happens to the best of us. So I grew up in a rural area, and I grew up in 4-H, and I had a compost pile. It's okay. Just keep trying. That's the important thing. Don't give up. So NASA, I don't know how they pick these plants, because I read the study, and they picked some pretty phenomenal plants. And I'm kind of wondering, I'm speculating here, do they go to the nursery, just pick out the first things on the sale table? I guess.
Which ones do we choose?
I don't know. So they pick some great ones. And I'm just going to give you the common names. And here's a little tip. I'm going to give you a PDF, but never, ever go by a common name. Only the botanical name is the scientific name. Everybody across the country can call these different things. They can be called different things at different nurseries, and marketing people, they just get so creative with some of these names. For example, okay, I'll diverge. I was talking to the Keenans, and I said, I don't know where they came up with the name of this plant, but it's called red hot poker. And I'm like, I don't know where the marketing people were when I came up with these. And then the cat's pajamas. And I'm like, it's beautiful purples and oranges. And they wanted lots of color.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but go by the botanical name.
Okay.
Never, ever. So I'm just going to keep this simple. I'm just going to call them the common names, but the botanical name is what you always need to ask for. So NASA picked up a few plants, and one of them is bamboo palm. Palms are pretty nice. They're thin and they do pretty well inside because you've got a low light situation. So palms in general are pretty good. Chinese evergreen, English ivy. That could be pretty with some Gerber daisies. I know, of all things, they picked up a Gerber daisy.
Oh, those are very pretty.
I know. So I was like, yeah, that's interesting. A Janet Craig, pretty easy. Corn cane. These are and mother-in-law's tongue. Mother-in-law's tongue is a common name, and it's also called snake grass. It's also called a lot of different ones. It is kind of more of a sharp kind of, so you kind of have to put it with some softer plants too. That one's pretty hard to kill, people. Okay. It's a pretty sturdy, hardy little plant. Mother-in-law's tongue. Peace lily. That could go pretty with a mother-in-law's tongue. That's a nice, pretty plant. A pot mum and Boston ferns. Yeah. So you got some variety. And one I found, now also keep in mind, if you take these home, is that you need to make sure that if you have pets, that it's pet safe. Because, it depends on your cat or dog, how much they like to eat plants. Mm-hmm. In general, don't let them eat any plants.
Yeah, don't encourage it.
The general warning label here is, don't let them eat any plants. If they do, watch them, make sure they don't get sick. Mm-hmm. So there are plants, it's the ASPC website, and they have a list of indoor plants that are basically a health, pet safe type of plant. So you could choose those for at home. If nothing else, we had a dog. Her name was Babe. She was so cute. She ate everything. So we put everything up. Mm-hmm. So everything can just go up and out of the reach of the pets too. Except for cats, maybe, but.
Yeah, cats are a little bit different because they can go up. They can climb everywhere.
They can go jump, yeah. Mind you.
If you have a cat, then you're just asking for it. So you got to figure it out on your own.
Stay in the corner. Yeah, give them some catnip. Divert. Okay, here, behaviorist thing here. Divert their attention. Divert. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Catnip over here. Leave mommy's plant alone over here. Yeah. One nice plant that I found for the Keenans was a Cassandra plant. That's safe, generally. And it's beautiful yellow flowers, indoor plant, really kind of nice. The other one I found too is a staghorn. A staghorn plant. Now you got to be careful with this plant because you can mount it to something flat and it'll stay small. If you put that thing in a basket, you're probably going to be selling it in a few years because it can grow huge.
Oh, okay.
It's almost like an air plant. So it can be a gigantic plant. It does go kind of slow. Mm-hmm. But you want to be careful how you mount it if you're going to bring it inside. Orchids are always great. Okay. You have a few of those?
Yeah. And I managed to get them to rebloom, surprisingly. Yeah.
Congratulations. Good job.
I'm not terrible with plants, but I'm not great with plants. I'm very middle of the road. And so I pick things that I know I can manage but orchids happens to be one of them.
Orchids is a good one. Then you must be, for everybody out there, this is the number one tip because you can't overwater, can't underwater. Mm-hmm. One ice cube a week.
Yes. Yep.
That's it. So Monday morning, give it one ice cube and then ignore it.
Yep. I know people are confused by that because, you see orchids in Florida where it's hot and there's a lot of humidity in the air that they're drawing from and all that sort of thing. And when I read that, I was like, well, it's already kind of weird. We have humid air up here in the Pacific Northwest because it's very rainy and whatnot. So we do have humidity, but it's not hot. It's never going to be more than like 69 degrees in my house. So, thinking about putting an ice cube in an orchid was very strange, but I swear I've tried all different types of watering. I've tried putting it in the sink with certain mosses and whatever. Mm-hmm. Ice cube once a week. I swear by it. and they come back whenever they feel like it, really. But
oh, well, that's good testimony. Yeah, because you can grow them inside. So
it gets too wild out here. I mean, they would. I don't know how they do outside.
Oh, well, I mean, inside. I mean, anywhere. You know, I mean, whether if you're watching us from Maine or Texas or Oregon.
And I don't have a special greenhouse or anything for them. They sit on my windowsill in a place that gets pretty good light. It gets pretty good light. I try to put it. I mean, our house is kind of weird, but so there you go. Orchids, you guys grab one and test it out. Oh, the first time actually was my law partner who got me my first orchid. And one time I went somewhere for the weekend. My parents were staying at the house, came back and all the flower parts had fallen off. And I was like, you guys, like, come on, did you kill my plant? Like, what did you do? Like, Googled it. And it turns out that happens. And guess what? They come back. And I did not know, I would have thrown it right away. And I bet some people listening have had orchids that people buy. And then when the flower petals fall off, they're like, oh, well, and then they toss it. And that's what I would have done, except I happened to Google it. And there you go. And that one, I had that one for probably 5 years. And then it decided it was done. I had it for like a year and a half where I didn't do anything. And I was like, I know you're done. All right, bye. So
they don't like to see, that's the perfect plant for, see, they don't be messed with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. You don't have to do much with them. Mm-hmm.
And, they do grow in South Florida in filtered light. So they're growing under the canopy. So you don't really need a lot. They still really need a lot of light. They don't need direct light. Mm-hmm. Some filtered light's good. Mm-hmm. So that you compare that with a few Boston ferns, so you got a little color, something nice to look at, and there you go. You got a couple plants. So okay, I got a couple steps here. Okay, step one. If you want to kind of do like little site analysis in your office, you have a photographer. Hopefully somebody there still had done film. It's really, boy, I tell you what, talk about my career comes in handy. So you got a little light meter. There you go. And I actually had to go with some Minolta. It's one I used outside all the time. A little trusty little film camera. And it will give you what's called foot candles.
Foot candles?
Foot candles. I know this is so archaic. I thought you'd think in this day and age they have a different way to measure it, but they still measure it in foot candles.
Okay.
A foot candle is the amount of light. You take a candle, you light it, and it's the amount of light 1 foot from it. And so it's measured in lumens. And so what this does is this measures foot candles for me. But you probably have to look it up because I had to change the modes so I could get a foot candle setting on it. Once I got a foot candle setting on it, then I had to go to a chart. I had to find out what the foot candle lumen setting was for their particular space. So like the Kennans, like I went through the house and I mean, it's bright. I mean, white walls, really, as far as indoor goes, it's bright. And I took meter readings all over the house and I'm like, okay, well, these are the plants you can do. And these are the plants you might not be able to do. Mm-hmm. So you might want to go through and kind of get at least an idea of what you've got. And then there's a breakdown of what kind of plants need different foot candle settings. So at least you can kind of, get it in the ballpark where it kind of would like to be. And then let's see, what else do I have here? Okay, look that up first. And then choose, I got it. Look at my notes here. I have my notes, even though you don't have your notes. Mm-hmm. And you can go look online for the botanical names. I'll give you a list of different plants that do well in different settings. And be careful of windows. Windows can be good or can be not good. Depends on how much direct light and intensity. It's not intensity, it's the amount of the duration of time that the plant is going to. And I'm going to do a little experiment too, because I think it's called Tabulia, which is also the common name is princess bush. I'm thinking that it can actually be a house plant. It's a beautiful purple flower. Just gorgeous. I'm thinking it might be able to, if you have like an intense window, you could put maybe a plant like that near it. So there are plants that can do well as long as it's.
How do you spell that? Because when I Googled tabula, it's literally showing me a tabula recipe for tabula salad.
No, tabuli. No, it's not tabuli.
What is
princess bush.
I'll just Google that.
The guys always roll their eyes, but it's a princess bush.
Oh, okay.
And you put Princess Bush, Florida. In South Florida, it grows to a tree. Did you find the purple flower?
Yeah, I'm going to just share a screen here so people can see.
Oh, okay.
And Dennis, I see your question out there, so don't think I forgot about you or didn't see it, but I'll ask it in a moment. Okay, so I think I'm allowed to share screen. I've not done this before, so I hope Tem's not too angry. Tem, don't get mad at me. It's a spur of the moment screen share, but this is the princess bush she's talking about.
Yes. Now, this is kind of a good example of different plants do well in different places. In South Florida, this grows into a tree. If you're going to put it inside, it's going to stay in a pot. It might get a little bit big. I'm going to experiment on that. I have them outside up here in North Florida, and they only grow to shrub size, maybe 3 feet. Okay. And then they lose their leaves. You think it's gone. It doesn't. It's going to come back. It loves, hummingbirds love it.
Oh, nice.
Love it. I didn't know I had hummingbirds, and they just came out of nowhere. And Bumblebee's out there enjoying a breakfast this morning on it. So I'm going to experiment and see if that can be, it says it can be an indoor plant. So I'm going to try it out.
Nice. Yeah, that's great for, so many environmental things with encouraging pollinators and, hummingbirds, which kind of do help with some of the pollination stuff as well. So you can be participating in enriching your environment while the plants are enriching your environment. So yeah, how's that?
We get 2 for 1. So did you have a question? Or
we do have a question from Dennis. He asks, what are the best plants I should have in my office? So let's think about it in 2 ways. Number 1, what plants do well in that sort of environment? And number 2, maybe are there some plants that kind of make us happier, or, with color or greenery or that sort of thing? So kind of 2 ways of answering that one.
Well, the answer to a lot of that is it depends on your office. I have to see it. A good starter plant is a Boston fern. That's a good one. Palms. They have several of them. They're, I'll have to look it up here.
Now, when you say palms, I think of palm trees, but I guess they could be palm bushes or palm other things.
They're not the parlor palms.
Oh,
they're like,
what that looks like.
They're like short. Let's see. You can look up like a. Where is it?
Oh, okay. I'm going to share the screen. I figured since we're doing, plants, I'm going to start Googling some of these and show people what they look like. For those in the audience who are watching this on YouTube versus listening to it, let's see. Parlor palm. No, that's it. We're in Home Depot now.
Do bamboo palm.
Let's do bamboo palm. Okay.
It's it's maybe 3 or 4 feet. It depends. It's kind of a bushy, shrubby little.
Oh, let's see if I'm getting the correct one here. Okay, let's share screen. No, I don't want to sign up for your nonsense. All right, let's share screen here. Is it like this little guy?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a lot of them like that. And they look kind of basically the same. Some of them are, have a little more leaves to them. And you got to think now, basically when you're out in the wild, plants are, if it's a high light area, say, in the Everglades, they have some prairie areas. You notice it's a lot of grasses. Plants are grasses because they have so much sunlight. They don't need to have too much leaf space for photosynthesis.
Okay.
So as you go inside, philodendrons is also a good one because it's big leaf.
Okay.
So the wider square footage on the leaf you get, the better it's going to be for inside because it's almost like being under canopy in the woods. Well, kind of. So that's a good starting place. Okay,
so more broad leaves are better for less light.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because they're going to have more surface area to get as much light as they can. Okay, that makes sense.
But ironically, though, that one kind of defies. See, then one defies it because then that bamboo palm does great inside. So
although the bamboo palm has a lot of little leaves, so that it sort of has a similar idea of getting the most chance of getting light. So there's that. Interesting. Okay. So there's a little bit of math to it.
I don't want to overwhelm people. But
lawyers are very bad at math. That's bad. But, big leaves, more leaves, you might be able to get away with having that inside. What about flowers? I mean, orchids, we just talked about that. What other fun things that have a pop of color are good for inside?
Well, I'd say peace lily. It's kind of hard because your colorful plants are going to need more sunshine. Mm-hmm. Like I said, the Cassandra plant, that was a real fine. CARA, I think it's CARASSANDRA, Cassandra.
So it's like Crossandra.
Yeah. Look at PW Flowers. PW Flowers is a well-known nursery I hate to say manufacturer, grower in the United States. You can usually find their plants pretty much anywhere. And yes.
This guy?
Yeah. It looks
yeah. That's very pretty. Okay. And so this is one that you found worked in the Keenan household because due to the bright light that they have in their house?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because there's a corner and I can get quite a bit of light, and this one actually will grow inside, etc. So it will work, and it is colorful. And the hard thing too is, they have a doggy, and I'm like,
yes.
Oh. I mean, I was almost like, I can't expect this much from a plant, and so yeah, it'll work.
And has it been installed yet? Have they used it?
They're buying it.
They're buying it. Okay. So it remains to be seen. Okay.
But that one is it's on a list to do well. And again, don't get discouraged, I guess. If one doesn't work out, even if it checks all the boxes, plants are living things. You might just have to try another one, even of the same species. Maybe it just wasn't happy for some reason. Okay. So that can happen too. So don't get discouraged. Sometimes it happens. And okay, the next step is you got to choose a pot.
Oh yeah.
So your two choices are, well, plastic, doesn't dry out as much, or the other one is clay, and you have to be careful. It can dry it out a little bit more. So, and you always want to put a saucer underneath. Got to have a hole, got to have a saucer, because I had a client didn't want to do that, and plants had to be placed all the time because it just drowned. Yeah,
they drown. That's one thing to think about, is that sometimes when I've read articles, they talk about wet feet, like their roots don't like to just sit there. We get trench foot if we have our feet in constant water, and so do plants. So too much water is not as good. It's just as bad as not enough water.
Yeah. So depending on your look of your office or what you're wanting, definitely have a saucer. You can go plastic one way or clay the other way. You could go ceramic, something pretty. That would be nice too. That would add a color to your scheme. A really pretty, I did take a ceramics class, I made a pretty little.
Oh yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
And I don't know what everybody has in their neck of the woods as far as hardwood stores: Lowe's, Home Depot, Ace Hardware. We have like a McClendon's, but you can just go back into the garden section and they'll have a lot of really pretty pots that you can use, and also really good kind of all-purpose soil. Like if you don't really know what exact precise type of soil, they'll have a good like potting mix usually to throw in there. So you got that. There you go. So all you gotta do is do that, and you want to be careful. No overwater, no underwater. You just kind of gotta, it's not really its natural environment, being indoors with us. So you kind of got to baby it a little bit. Just kind of check it. But, just talk to it. When you talk to your plants, you're also finding out, like, you're seeing if there's anything on it, any bugs or anything, or any pests. You're seeing how well it's doing. So talking to your plants, the reason why it's good is because then you'll know if something's happening before it gets to be too bad. So it's a nice relaxing exercise. Oh, I'm sorry. I got to take 5 and go water the plants. Yeah. Take care of them. So excuse me. Yeah, they do tell you. I mean, we actually have a bunch of bamboo in these kind of water trough thingies in our backyard, and they'll tell you when they need something, right? If you're paying attention to them, like the little leaves will start curling in, and my husband will be like, "Oh, I got to get out there and water the bamboo," or you might see some standing water, and you're like, "Oh, better back off because it looks like they're not absorbing as much." So if you pay attention to them and develop, it sounds so strange, but like a relationship with them, you'll know kind of what they need and when they need it. Yeah. So, and then, it's kind of fun because then you could take a mental break and walk around the office and say, I gotta go take care of the plants. I gotta take care of the babies there. So, that's another nice little psychology thing, take a break and go do that. And light. Well, okay. So you can, if your office is pretty dark, you can get growing lights for them too. And they've got lots of pretty designs now. I hate to say it, Amazon, and what the one you want to get though is the LEDs.
It's more broader spectrum. The fluorescence and incandescence, they can have only certain blue and red light, but really plants need full spectrum light. We do too. So it's an added benefit. If you have one in your office, then you're getting some more spectral light yourself, which is good for us. So if you want to do that, you can always set like a little plant display, at your front lobby.
Yeah.
Wouldn't that be nice?
That would be very nice. That's a nice and warm greeting.
Yeah. Well, I'll tell you, when I upgraded my photography studio, I put fresh flowers on my table every week.
Wow.
And my clients come in, they're like, that's exactly, wow.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. Okay. So lawyers here. If you went to, say, your dentist office, because most people are afraid to go to the dentist, and they had a nice room full of plants and stuff, what frame of mind would that put you in?
It'd probably be rather calming.
Okay. I'm assuming that when people go to law office, they're stressed. They got a problem. They got a problem. They got to solve it. And they got a conflict. So if they walk into your office now and you've got some nice flowers or plants around, what state of mind is that? What first impression is that going to give your clients when they walk into your office? Wow. A little marketing, state of mind, relaxing. Yeah. Do you think that would give you all the edge in getting that client?
Possibility. Yeah. Different stands out, right? You remember what's different.
Would you, that's true. Well, let's say, most people go to say 3, they're going to interview 3 different firms, let's say, and you have beautiful flowers at the front desk and they're going to, I kind of like those people. I felt really nice there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It might make a difference.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not just psychology and biology, now you're a little marketing.
Mm-hmm.
So that could be a possibility. And I did come across a study online, and it was talking about, even for us, about light and how it's calming and how we're in front of the computer, like even right now, we have to. It's a great tool. I'm not going to get rid of it, but what can I do because you're getting blue waves and you're not getting enough. And it hurts my eyes at a certain point, and I have eye drops because I'm like, ugh, it's too much. One of the things you can do is be sure at the end of the day to get out in the sun a little bit, because that's increasing your melatonin. Even campfires at night, infrared sauna. And what I did recently, right before I read this study, and it really does work. I had a candle I just kind of wanted to burn off, and it was so nice having that on my desk.
Mm.
So nice. And what I hear from you all is, over again, it's a stressful job. It's where the metal hits the road. And if you can give yourself just a little zone time, have some nice plants or herbs on your desk, even in your kitchen, have some nice little herbal plant garden in your kitchen. You can snip some herbs, put them on your salad, etc. And a little candle on your desk just to give you that nice light so that you can focus on another light besides this bright coming out of our computers.
Those are great ideas.
So, when you add all of it together, can you guys be sure to blow out your candle?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. Oh, gosh.
Just
claim any responsibility for any fires that might happen because of a candle that you guys left burning, okay? Just take responsibility for yourself.
That's right, people.
Be an adult.
Get one in one of those little canisters, that keeps it contained. Yes. So that would be my suggestion. So is to have some lights and maybe have some herbs, in your kitchen at your work, and take walks, deep breaths. Hey, we play flu. We know about breathing deep. That's right. Breathe it in.
From your belly, from the belly.
And do all those things. And maybe that might help you. You never know. I've been on a jury. Might be just the thing that catches my eye.
This has just been in my mind and even before we started talking, but would you recommend a little tiny plant on council table?
Sure.
That you bring, and I'm not being facetious. I mean, I don't want I don't know if that's weird, but just a little something, little tiny terracotta something.
Yeah. Well, you know what I've got? This is, oh, okay. He wants to know about a good plant to start with. Rubber tree.
Oh, there we go.
Rubber tree. Oh, you want to Google it? Now this.
Oh yeah, let's look at what that looks
It's
like.
interesting. They start small, they grow small. So, but the guy was talking about a plant. This is also in Chinese philosophy known as the money tree.
Oh yeah.
And this is a great little one. And you could just pop off, if you get a big plant, you can pop off one, just stick it in the sand, stick it in the dirt, and you can grow babies from it. So this is the great granddaughter of a plant that we have, that little rubber tree. That's a nice one. Actually, I found an architect's office had a big, beautiful one next to his front door. I'm like, oh, and she said, yeah,
nice
tree.
No,
Did you find it?
Home Depot has the corner on plants right now. I mean, I'm looking up every type of plant in Home Depot. It's like, we've got it. Come on in and get it if you want. Okay, hold on.
Let's
funny. This one. Okay, you know what? I'm going to show this one.
Okay.
It's on this website called brighterblooms.com or whatever, but we're not endorsing any of these. I'm just purely using these as pictures so you guys can see them. For a tiny sum of $29.99, you can have yourself a rubber tree plant, and it looks like this.
There's that one. Now I have one that's smaller too. There's different cultivars. You got cultivars and varieties, but yeah, there you go. There's
a little 6-incher here. Mm-hmm. And so there's different, rubber tree. So if you Google rubber tree or money tree, are that the same? Yeah,
well, I don't know. It's Chinese. That was what the guy who is a Chinese guy who owned an architecture firm, and he called it the money tree. I'm like, oh, I hadn't heard it called that before.
Yeah.
Let me see.
I heard that as a Taurus, that's my plant with my star sign. So. Well,
oh, really? Oh.
Yeah. Yes. Here's another one that it looks a little bit different, but also somewhat similar. I don't know if its screen share is loading. So hold on. There we go. So here's another kind of just a leafy, this one's bigger, I think, than the one we saw before. So anyways, yeah, that's one option, you guys. And maybe you do want a money tree in your office. That's kind of bringing the vibes of some income, some happiness, some productivity.
Yeah, this Chinese architect had it by his front door. So
yeah, prosperity. Okay, all right.
So that's a good little one to start with too. And it kind of tends to like it dry. I just kind of like mine. I just get a little water once a week. It's not a high maintenance kind of plant. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I hadn't thought about it. If I was on a jury and I saw somebody bring in a nice, pretty plant and decorate the table. I mean, if you could see I've got like postcards of Monet. I've got my ceramics. I mean, I keep my front of my desk really pretty because I like to just have that inspiration. And I don't know. I would be like, I'm impressed. If someone came in and like professionally set up a table instead of, I'm sure you got stacks of paper you got to have, but like made it an effort. I don't know. I mean, I would definitely sit there and go, I'm going to take these people seriously because they're taking that desk seriously. Okay, I'm an art major too. So, but yeah, that would, I don't know.
Yeah, say something different. We don't want to be distracting, and you don't want to. It's just food for thought, or off-putting. You never know. Jurors are so strange as far as, well, you wore blue shoes, and I just really hate the color blue. Just weird about stuff on any given day because they wake up on the wrong side of the bed just like we do. So interesting thing to think about. Bring a little succulent or something like that, just to kind of remind yourself to stay grounded and who knows? I don't know. Maybe if somebody tries it, let us know in the comments. If somebody's done it, let us know in the comments. If you do it and there's a good response, let us know in the comments. If you do it and there's a bad response, no, don't tell us. We don't want to. Yeah.
And you know what, too? I'm curious because, like I said, like experimental design background, it happened at my office. It really gave a wow to my clients. And I could see that my numbers, my sales were up, and maybe for some other reasons too. But so if you do that, have the receptionist, she's the gatekeeper. Just, take a little note, how do clients react when they come in and see some plants at your reception area? Are they wowed? I don't know. just some little numbers. That could be a nice little organizational behavior, environmental psychology study.
Yeah.
Interesting. So I don't know, does anybody have any questions or anything?
That was the only question we had from the audience. I was curious if you, and it sounds like you come from a very artistic background as far as kind of your personality and whatnot. Did you come naturally to taking care of plants, or was it something you had to learn, through trial and error?
Both.
Okay.
I grew up, this is a very rural area in the Panhandle, Florida, and I grew up in 4-H. And my parents also grew up in rural West Virginia area, and we had a garden and we did composting. And so we always planting stuff in the yard. There were lost plants in the woods I had to bring home, dig them up, bring them home. They're lost, so I had to bring them home. And so I think it was just trial and error and learning, and going through the program and like really studying then. And I always go to the source here is University of Florida. That's the resource. So if I have any questions at all, that's the reference I do. But then you got to kind of go, well, you got to kind of have field work with it too, and kind of, is that really true in all areas? Because what can grow up here in the north can be the same plant, might not south. And sago palms are getting ready to get the boot out of Florida. They're going to be on our invasive species list. They're getting some white blight on them, and they're getting ready to get out. So some things turn invasive that weren't before. So you never know. So it's kind of a combination. You just kind of got to jump in and dig the dirt.
Okay. Right.
Yeah. So like you did. Yeah.
Yeah. Just try little things or whatever. That can be hard for type A people as well, to be okay with something not working out. And I actually have a neighbor who's just like magnificent at this gardening stuff. And I asked her one time, like, I just am struggling keeping certain plants alive. And she's like, I have houseplants die all the time. And you just put it in the yard waste, and then you find a different one, and then you try again, and it maybe doesn't work out again, and you just keep going. And it was kind of inspiring. Sometimes failure can be inspiring, especially when I look over in her garden and it's just so fantastic to hear that she shared the same struggle, Yeah. So as far as like, when you go and do planning for clients, either landscaping outdoors or doing kind of what you're doing with Keenan's inside, do you take into consideration the personality and maybe the abilities of your clients, like the human clients, and what they can handle? Or is it all about what plants will work in the space?
No, I mean, well, first of all, what you really got to do that most people miss out on is maybe what your plants were missing was a soil test. There are, I have to look it up, but there are certain nutrients that your plant must have in order to complete all of its metabolic processes. There are certain elements that they must have. And the biggest part, especially in any new construction, is the dirt is dead. And so first of all, you got to I do soil samples. That's actually the first thing that I do. So we know what we're working with. And then, yeah, I mean, you have to take into account, some people here are older and they can only do so much, or they're going to have a maintenance company. It's really all about listening to the client. And too many times there are a lot of designers that they don't do that. I don't know, as a photographer, I really got to listen to the client. So I'm very well trained. I'm listening, watching all the time. So no, it's got to be about them. I'm not the creative person. I can do my yard however I want. I can do whatever I want. It's my yard. But no, it has to be about them. What needs am I going to fill for them, and maintenance wise? And so then you just sort it out. You gotta go, I've got like, oh my gosh, I got books and books. I just start sorting through. Will this work? Will this work? Will this work? Will this work? Till you get it down to what you to what the client will. I can give them a plant list and let them pick.
Right.
I think that's the most important thing.
Right. Yeah. I mean, as we're, considering possibly talking to different people about this type thing, maybe introducing some more plants into our lives, too much there, failure is okay. But if it's too much and you just can't get it right, that can become discouraging. Right. So there's that balance there of, do you want to set you don't want to set yourself up for not being able to maintain, if you have this beautiful landscaping that somebody has put in and you just cannot maintain it, be realistic, think about what you have the time to do, and, go slow with it.
Well, hey, that goes back to dolphin training. Here's my book. Here's a great book for all of you. You got to start small, and then don't let the title discourage you, because it wasn't her choice. Karen Pryor, famous dolphin trainer, dog clicker trainer, human trainer. It's all about human training. You want to start. Actually, I was going to say, start with one plant in your office, and then tell yourself, "Good job." Give yourself a good job. Hey, good job, I did. Another plant. It's called Karen Pryor. Don't shoot the dog. If you guys are speed readers, you'll read this through lunch. Funny book. And so you're right. You want to start small. One plant bed at a time. Even if you have the whole design kind of laid out, you kind of know what you're going to do, start with one thing at a time. Even with indoor plants, just put one or two on the reception desk. See how you do. Yeah. And then go from there. So, but that's additional reading if you guys are into human training. If you want to train your boss, this is a great book.
Yeah, no, that's great. We went through some training with one of our dogs recently, and it was about training us. That's what I spent all this money to train my dog, and at the end of the day, I came away a very different dog owner. So that's what it's all about. So you can be trained to be a very different plant owner. Everyone out there, you can do it. Just start small. So
and give yourself a little good job.
And be encouraging. Yeah, be encouraging. Got it to yourself. So
good job for being here today.
Yes, good. This is your first step. You are taking the first step into being a different plant person, different plant parent, and enriching your life through plants.
Yes.
Wonderful. Thank you, Tricia. Thank you so much for being here. And thank you to all of you who joined us this week for our episode of Fridays with Keenan's Cutting Edge. If you liked today's episode, please give it a thumbs up. Feel free to share it with whomever you feel might need to be enriched through plants. Don't forget to subscribe and sign up for alerts so you don't miss an episode. Next week, we are going to have a replay as we ease into the summer. And I don't know yet what July will hold for us, but I know we have some wonderful speakers in the hopper. So have a wonderful weekend. Have a safe and enjoyable Independence Day. And I will see you next time.